introduce the valuation formula, which you'll use during Finance 6310, Advanced Venture Capital. If you took Finance 6300, you'll notice that some of these slides are similar to what you saw last semester. Feel free to skim over something if you feel like you have the concept nailed, but don't skip the entire video. There will be new material that you'll need for the quiz. To start this video, let's recap what we learned in the last video. We learned that business is not a dirty word. We learned that technology is about an idea for making things better and an execution of that idea. We spoke about how public markets are the most advanced technology for funding companies, and how the context of this course is understanding the company, the context, the investor, and the deal. We talked about three main types of asset valuation: income, asset, and market approach. And we talked about how most startup valuation techniques are rooted in the market-based approach. We talked about why public companies are worth more than private companies, that the key is that they offer greater liquidity to investors, and how getting investors to put their money in is a function of a compelling opportunity and a reason to believe. And that brought us to this point, the vexing questions that hinge on valuation. So this video will take valuation a step further and discuss common valuation heuristics. That does it for our recap. On to new material. With the basic backdrop and motivation for venture capital under our belt, let's move into a more tactical look at some of the tools you can use. How do founders and investors get on the same page about valuation? Here's a more real-world example. We'll use Mark Zuckerberg as our founder. Entrepreneurs are questioning whether or not they're giving up too much equity. Are they being taken by these savvy investors who almost always have more experience than they do? Investors actually have a pretty tough question to solve themselves. They're attempting to look into the future and see where is this company going. So here's Ben Horowitz, a genuine early investor in Facebook, and we'll use him as our investor example. He's also one of the partners of Andreessen Horowitz, which is one of the best-known venture capital firms in Silicon Valley. So for investors, the big question is, how much equity do I need in order to get my required rate of return? What we really need to figure out is, how do we get these two on the same page? Well, one way to do that is to use the valuation formula outlined in this article from the Harvard Business Review. The full article is posted on Canvas if you want to read it. This formula aims to create parity between founders and entrepreneurs in assessing a company's valuation. So let's break it down. It's pretty simple. There's a numerator and a denominator. The numerator looks like this. It's 1 plus the IRR raised to the number of years to exit times the amount of the investment. This tells us how much the investor's planned investment will be worth, assuming the required IRR. The denominator is the value of the entire company at exit. This is calculated by using a multiple for a key metric or exit value. The key thing is that the numerator divided by the denominator gives us a hurdle rate. The hurdle rate is the minimum percent of ownership the investor needs in order for the investment to generate the required internal rate of return. So let's break down each of the terms. IRR is the desired internal rate of return. For purposes of this class, we will always use 100% IRR unless another IRR is specified. The reason for that is that just to stay alive, VC funds need to return 20 to 30% IRR across their entire portfolio. But venture is risky, and some of those portfolio companies are not going to make it. If 3 in 5 fail, if one of them breaks even, and one generates an IRR of 100% or greater, the average return will be about 25%. So 100% is a good rule of thumb. The exponent x is time. That is the number of years anticipated until exit. The investment is the amount of money the investor is putting into the company, and the multiple represents an industry multiple that we will apply to a key metric in the business, like revenue or earnings. And the exit value is that key metric at the time of exit. So if we used, for example, 3 years for our time to exit, we want to use the revenue or earnings projected 3 years from now times the revenue or earnings multiple in order to get the denominator. For starters, we're going to use these heuristics for our multiples. So there are industry averages for every industry, but this is a great place to start as you're getting used to doing valuation. So if you don't have an industry average multiple, then use these. For private companies, we'll value them at 1 times revenue or 5 times earnings. Public companies we know are valued higher because they offer more liquidity for investors. So we'll value them at 5 times revenue or 20 times earnings. These are just heuristics, so if you have actual industry average multiples, as I said before, that's always preferable. But if you don't have one, these will get you into the ballpark. Now, even though this is simple, it's super important, so you want to make sure you get this. For instance, if the company will have earnings of $1 million in 3 years and it's a private company, we might value the company at 5 times earnings, or $5 million. Or we could use revenue. Let's say the company will generate $3 million in revenues in the 3rd year, and we're using a 1 times multiple for private companies. That means the company is valued at $3 million in the 3rd year. There are other methods for valuing a company. If you have access to these, they can be substituted in the denominator in the valuation formula. The first two we've already used in our example, revenue and earnings. We could use book value. We could use a flavor of earnings like EBITDA or EBIT. We could use market cap, net income. We could use MRR or ARR, which are popular if the company is growing very fast. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Refer back to this section if you're still unsure how to do this. You want to know how to calculate the valuation formula. There will be story problems and things like that in the quiz that will require that you're able to do this. So make sure that you've reviewed this and understand it. So let's take a look at these examples. One example is a private company. It is valued. We're going to value it on earnings. You can see the anticipated revenue and earnings picture here over the next 4 years. So let's assume we have a $50,000 investment with an exit in 3 years. Plug in the appropriate info into the formula, and we have 1 plus 1 for 100% IRR to the power of 3 for our 3-year exit, multiplied by the amount of the investment, which is $50,000. For the denominator, we'll use the private earnings multiple of 5 multiplied by the anticipated earnings in year 3, which is $120,000. So if we multiply that out, we get 8 times $50,000 on top, $600,000 on the bottom. Take it one step further, that's $400,000 over $600,000, or a hurdle rate of 66.67%. That means that for an investor to get their required rate of return, they would need to own 2/3 of this company in order to get it. So that sounds pretty steep. Let's take a look at another one. This time, everything is the same except we're going to use public earnings. We're looking at a public company now instead of a private one. The investment amount stays the same at $50,000. This time when we plug in our numbers, we're going to use an earnings multiple of 20 instead of our private earnings multiple of 5 that we used the last time. So as we multiply this out, now we've got 8 times 50 on top, but we've got 2.4 million in the denominator. So 400,000 over 2.4 million gives us a hurdle rate of 16.67%. This starts to look much more affordable and much more doable for an investor. Because the public company is valued higher because it offers better liquidity, it's valued higher than the private one. So at exit, the investor needs to own a lot less in order to achieve their desired IRR. The final section is about additional factors that influence valuation. Sometimes early-stage companies are measured by a multiple of their annual recurring revenue, or ARR. This is particularly common for technology and SaaS companies. When a company is growing very fast, however, an annual metric may not be sufficient to reflect its actual value. In that case, we use monthly recurring revenue, or MRR. In these cases, a growth rate is calculated by measuring the MRR over a period of several months. Part of understanding investment stages is understanding how companies are classified. Small cap companies are those with market caps of $200 million to $2 billion. Mid cap companies are between $2 billion and $10 billion. And large cap companies are those over $10 billion in market cap. Now, if you're used to working with startups, you're probably thinking that all of these seem pretty huge. Most angel investing and venture capital deals are done with companies that are smaller than this. Although some later rounds can get pretty big, those first rounds are all with companies that are smaller than even small cap. These smaller companies are classified as microcap. This is the category that will get most of our attention this semester. I ask you to pay particular attention to the 4 strategic components of risk in your case analysis reports. Probably the most significant of the 4 is team and execution risk. This addresses the question, can the senior team execute? Can they get the job done? Can they handle the pressure? Another way of thinking about this is the old saying, bet on the jockey and not the horse. The reason it makes sense to bet on the jockey is because a great founder can turn a mediocre company or product around. A great product, however, can never turn a mediocre founder into a great one. Leadership beats product. For that reason, you may hear of companies that have no revenue, no earnings, no product, and they're pulling down significant amounts of venture capital. The reason is that the earlier the company is, the more its valuation is just a reflection of the founder and her ability to execute. That covers our agenda for this video. I'll catch you on the next one.